If you're retired military, active service member, even if you're in the reserves and you're thinking about buying a home, today we're going to talk about the only loan you need to consider when purchasing a home. And if you don't utilize this type of loan, it could cost you more and you could miss out on a home altogether. So stay tuned, we'll get into it next. Thank you guys so much for being here. Most of our listeners or viewers know me from Unlocking Silicon Valley. It's a podcast that we've had, obviously for years now here in Santa Clara County, but I'm starting something different. I'm doing basically a business development segment of the podcast where I'm meeting with my partners, whether it could be anything from mortgage to wealth planners to attorneys, estate planning, all the different facets that affect our client base. So that way, one, it kind of dives deeper on individual topics, but also it's applicable to all of our client bases, right? Everything we talk about today, you guys can share with your clients, I can share with mine. Hopefully we educate them. And I'm super excited about what we're talking about today because obviously it's near and dear to both of your hearts for some personal reasons we'll get into in a minute. But ultimately, I've been a mortgage broker over 20 years. And I mean, Luis and I have been business partners forever. And I mean, we've done a lot of these types of transactions in a market where people, one, didn't even know what they were, two, thought they were a bad thing, and three, really just didn't understand them. So, with that said, obviously we're going to talk about VA loans today, which, and again, we'll get into it later. I mean, it's really the best mortgage product out there for those that qualify. So right. I want you guys, one, opportunity to introduce yourselves, talk about who you're with, and then really just jump right into, how we can educate consumers and real estate agents alike on, again, what I think is the best loan product out there. So, David, Luis, welcome. And David, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me in. So my name is David Smith. I'm the Vice President of VA Lending for LoanDepot. And my background, I'm former Army. I served a total of 8 years. So I was at 11 Charlie, an infantry mortarman, used to do all kinds of great things in the military. Unfortunately, I got injured, so I had to get out. Okay. So upon exiting the military, you have all these questions on what are you going to do in life and what's out there and what should I do? And my heart was always in being a part of the military. Okay. So I really wanted to get kind of back into this, and I kind of found a niche. I found a niche that what I understood is after making a couple bad decisions on buying homes myself. Mm-hmm. And then learning about some of our benefits, some of the mistakes that I made, and I kind of made a vow that I didn't want any of my brothers and sisters I served with to fall into that category. So I've been, really charging hard for better part of a decade and a half. Wow. On teaching veterans, teaching real estate agents, teaching folks how the VA loan works, because I didn't want them to make my bad financial decision mm-hmm. from a lack of knowledge. For sure. So I'm just I have a big passion for education and just tearing down all the myths, going into these different marketplaces. I travel across the entire country, okay. Going into marketplaces and just really helping people understand why, what you already mentioned, why this is one of the greatest mortgage vehicles of all time.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And it sounds like you might be based out of Texas from
the y'all. Yeah. Yes. I'm currently based out of Houston, Texas. Okay. That's what we call home base, but
it's also called America, by the way.
It's still America.
right next to the Gulf of America, right? Yeah. Right. All right, I got you. I've seen it on a map. And actually, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, so
there we go.
Man, he's from Texas and still rolls his eyes that I'm a Cowboys fan.
I'm out of Houston.
That's true. All right. Well, the Texans are all right.
I go with the Texans, right? Yeah. I'm not a Cowboys hater, but I do love the Texans.
Oh, good stuff, man. Well, thanks and welcome, Luis.
David, thank you so much for having me here. And my name is Luis Renteria. I'm with LoanDepot, Director of Education for VAREP, and I'm a Marine. Okay, once a Marine, always a Marine. And sure. Look, I also eat crayons, by the way.
Oh man!
But hold on.
Oh man!
Hold on. I want to point out that Steve here did say he was former Army. See, Marines don't have that option. Right.
Once a Marine, always
a Marine. Just saying, right?
Okay.
And I like crayons.
I grew up in a Marine household. That's why I went Army. Yeah, I got you.
No, but seriously, I love. Where's the camera?
Camera's over there.
I love
VA loans.
Okay, and I have a passion for it. I understand it, and just like Steve was saying, there's so many myths out there. There's so much misinformation. And who loses out on this? It's the veteran that earned this benefit, because you got to understand, this isn't a handout.
Right.
Okay. This isn't a government handout. They signed on Marines, obviously they signed with the crayon, but they signed that blank check payable within up to their life to join.
Gotcha.
Okay. So it's an earned benefit.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic. And one, it's the very least that I think that the United States or the government can do to help kind of repay veterans and even active duty members as well, for their service, right? And so I learned this from you guys today. So the VA loan originally came about in 1944, right? It's part of the GI Bill, and it's changed every year. There's some changes or modifications to it. I know, like I said, I've known Luis forever. We've done VA loans together for well over a decade. And there were, my opinion as a realtor, there were more challenges back then to getting VA loans done and brought to completion than there are today. And so that's why I was excited to sit with you guys earlier today and kind of learn about the changes. And, we'll cover a lot of them. But also, the important thing the distinction I want to make is that you guys work for LoanDepot. Obviously, the VA loan is an insurance policy that they provide, to companies like LoanDepot, but ultimately the individual mortgage company, makes their guidelines kind of overlay on top of VA loans, right? So even though, VA has their guidelines, not every VA loan is the same, depending on what lender you go to, right? So, you've got LoanDepot or Rocket Mortgage or Wells Fargo or Bank of America. Every bank's going to have a different set of guidelines. But the reason why I wanted you guys here at the table today, one, because of your commitment to VA loans, but two, because of the guidelines that you have in place, I really think makes VA more accessible to more people. And so maybe, if you guys can talk a little bit about kind of the general guidelines of VA to help educate, real estate agents especially, because in my personal opinion, a lot of times real estate agents, we call it having commission breath, right? Where they don't care ultimately who gets the house, right? They just want that commission. And so a lot of times what I've seen personally in this valley is I have seen where we have submitted a VA buyer's offer that is higher than an offer with conventional financing, right? And what that listing agent does is they tell their seller, no, you don't want that VA loan, even though it's $50,000 more because it's too much trouble. It's not going to close. Seller says, okay, I don't know. I'm trusting you. And the reality is that agent isn't educated. So not only does it screw a veteran out of getting a home, it screws the seller out of getting more money for their home, right? And then it perpetuates, this misconception about VA loans, which is why I'm not a big fan of real estate agents if you ever listen to my podcast. So can you guys talk a little bit about, I guess, some of the biggest misconceptions, and then how you guys kind of, work through that, whether it's, credit score or loan amount or down payment. So I don't know, Dave, you want to take that?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with this one because you just dropped a whole lot of hammers there. Yeah. So I'm going to start off with, what Luis and I always talk about. Yeah, the stigma is real.
Right.
The stigma is real. And it's been around for a long time. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that the VA didn't earn this. Okay, because like you and me, we've all been doing this for a long time.
Sure.
I've been in this industry for 23 years. I can tell you VA loans back then were quite a challenge, right? So the VA had to get better. There was a point in time where VA did take a long time to close. There was a point in time where the inspections were borderline impossible. There's a long time where people didn't understand how to underwrite them. There was a long time ago that all these things were going on. But I'm also going to sit here and tell you that things have changed. Things have changed every single year, as you mentioned earlier, and just within the last 5 years, significant change. It doesn't take longer to close a VA loan, right? Number one, first and foremost, it does not take longer to close a VA loan.
About the same, 30 days, give or take, close a VA loan just like you can close any other loan.
Not a problem.
Just like any other.
Okay.
Not a problem. Number two, one of the biggest changes that ever happened on January 1st, 2020, right? This is right when COVID started, which is why some of this got iced over. But one of the biggest changes that happened to the VA loan was where they removed the cap. Right, so forever and a day in every state in the country, we were always limited on what we could buy.
Okay.
We had to pay attention to county loan limits, and then if we went over county loan limits, we had to start putting down money and all these things that were going on.
Gotcha.
So a lot of areas, California being one of those, a lot of areas, VA just wasn't really an option.
Sure.
We were limited.
Because the sales price points are so high,
Got it.
right? Just like FHA runs into some similar problems.
So on January 1st of 2020, they rolled out some new guidelines that eliminated that.
Okay.
And what they said was a veteran can now buy anything they can financially qualify for.
Dude, that's awesome. And I know you just closed like a 4.6
That's right.
$1 million purchase on a VA loan.
4.6 million Saratoga, Golden Triangle, which is very tough.
Yeah, that's a
with
market.
One of the most strict listing agents. I basically did a workshop for him over the phone, and he understood it. I'm so grateful he did, and we got our veteran into his home.
And that story, I mean, should be told through every office in our valley. Right, because I mean, one, it is competitive. Golden Triangle, Saratoga, one of the most competitive, micro markets in our valley, and for you to be successful in that, dude,
28 offers.
Yeah, and there you go. I mean, just beating out 28 offers with traditional financing is hard. You might be the only one I've ever heard of that's closed, north of 4 million with 28 offers in Saratoga using VA. So I mean, that's huge. And again, those are the types of stories. That's why we're doing this now, because as many consumers and homeowners that listen to our podcast, we got a lot of real estate agents that listen to it as well. So, I know they'll be listening and watching this, and I hope they hear that story and that it resonates with them next time, they're on the listing side of something and a VA loan is submitted. So good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and in 17 days, we closed it. In 17 days, had some termite work, and we still got it done. So it's fast, and it's all about the 5 Ps. I'm going to use the 5 Ps, okay? Because I can't use the 6 Ps.
You can use 6. Dude.
All right. Proper preparation. We're going with the 6.
6 Ps.
Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. What I mean by that is you underwrite the loan up front. You get the certificate of eligibility. That is the big one, because a lot of times we wait, or lenders wait until the very last minute to pull that, and then there's an issue with it, and that takes 20 days, 30 days.
Okay. So hold on, and I'm gonna pause you right there. Certificate of eligibility, COE. So if you are a veteran or a reserve, right? I mean, so there's like different qualifications. So if you think you're eligible for a VA loan, or you have served and you're eligible for a VA loan, the first step is, before you do anything, get that COE. And if you talk to anybody and anybody tries to charge you for their COE, then you need to give Luis or David a call. They'll do it for free. If they send you to the VA to get it yourself, that person probably does not like you, and you need to give David and Luis a call, right? Because you guys can pull that for them for free, right? And how long does that take?
30 seconds. If I have high speed internet, 30 seconds.
Okay.
It's actually a really easy process that people turn into this overcomplicated situation.
Right.
And this is what, you don't want to go VA. It's just too hard to get your paperwork.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's 30 seconds. It's not that complicated.
Okay.
They just don't know. That's why.
Yeah. Okay. So what other misconceptions do realtors or consumers have about, VA financing, or how hard is it to qualify, or during the escrow process? I mean,
well, so I'll hit a big one. I'll hit credit. Okay, so this is one of those big ones that comes up all the time. Credit score criteria, right? So when we ask, I do all these trainings, and we ask all these real estate agents, hey, what's the minimum credit score criteria the VA has? Oh, you hear 620, you hear 580, you'll hear, do they have one? You'll hear, you hear everything, right? Well, the actual answer is the VA does not. It's the mortgage company that they're working with.
Gotcha.
And so why does this matter? Because there's a whole group of mortgage companies out there that need a 620 or 640 credit score, and then there's another group that are around 600.
Okay.
Then there's some that'll go well into the 500s, like we will at LoanDepot. But my point to that is, you have someone who walks in with a 598 credit score, and the mortgage company they're talking to has a 620 credit score criteria. Right? Well, that company right there is going to say, I'm sorry, you're denied for your VA loan, right? And then they're going to say, because you don't meet the VA's requirements.
Right.
It's not the VA's requirements, it's the actual mortgage company. And I get all fired up about this because we're getting people turned down who should have been eligible the entire time.
Yeah, and then they go out the rest of their life thinking, I'll never be able to qualify for VA.
So now I'm a career renter.
Right.
I've never built equity in myself. I'm a renter the rest of my life.
But the reality is they're talking to the wrong lender.
That's it. That's all it is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all it is.
So we got no cap on sales price. So $6 million as long as you can qualify.
You can do it.
Right? Credit scores down as and obviously you want to work to get your credit score as high as possible. But hey, 580 or above. There's still an opportunity for you to get your foot in the door. Yeah, and then let's talk about like down payment and mortgage insurance, right? Because those are the two big things in our valley, especially for blue collar workers, which a lot of times veterans come out and that's what they do, right? So it is hard for especially blue collar workers in our valley to save up for a down payment. Sure. That is a huge obstacle for them. So, if they served, how does a VA loan help them with that?
Yeah, so this is a great question. So here's the reality. the reality is the government is an insurance policy, right? They're insuring 25% of our mortgage,
Okay.
right? And because they're an insurance policy, it affords us a couple of benefits. This is what the whole program is about. The number one benefit is that I can get 100% financed, right? So the VA loan allows me to get 100% financing because the government is insuring me because of the service I gave to this country.
That's awesome.
Okay. Number two, another huge benefit, we're going to get some of the most competitive interest rates in the marketplace. And in most cases, VA is actually the best.
Well, I was just going to say, because that's the next obstacle in our valley is 7% interest rates, right?
Yeah, so we're looking at VA and we're saying, man, I'm getting 100% financed. I'm going to get extremely competitive interest rates, if not the best. And then I don't have to pay mortgage insurance.
Right.
So there's no PMI. Okay, so I'm not paying mortgage insurance. So what does this actually mean? As a buyer, I can go into your valley. I can start making competitive offers. I'm going to have a much better financial situation on the interest rate side of things.
Right.
And then with no PMI, that means I'm not having to pay out all that money up front, right? Number one. Number two, every single month, I'm not having to pay extra fees that I shouldn't have to pay, right? So now I'm not paying those fees, which means that now every single payment I make is more equity that I'm earning as a veteran.
Right.
Less money going towards fees. This is such a significant benefit. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
This is about helping the veteron.
Yeah, and that's huge. And I know you
I love that answer.
You showed me a slide.
Let me give you some food.
Not non-toxic. May cause brain damage, right, Luis?
No, those are good.
So you shared some information earlier today when we were at lunch about the number of veterans in California.
Yep.
And so and what was that number again?
It's about just over 1.4 million.
All right. So throughout the state of California, 1.4 million people eligible for a VA loan.
Yeah.
Right. And then how many of those people are currently homeowners?
So it doesn't mean that they have a VA home loan.
Right.
But you guys were around 71% of the folks who served our country in the state of California are actually homeowners, which it's an incredible number because it tells me that these folks like it here, they want to live here, they want to be homeowners here, they want to build equity here.
Sure.
All of that's pretty amazing.
And you said about 1.2 million and then about 70%? Did I get that?
It's 1.4 million.
I'm sorry, 1.4.
Yeah, 1.4 million live here and 71% are homeowners.
Which still means there's well over 500,000 people. If my math is probably right.
Yeah, we're mathing.
There's
Public math?
Yeah,
we're mathing.
Yeah, I went to public school too. So there's about 500,000 people here in the state of California that have an opportunity, if they are renting now, that have an opportunity to qualify for a VA loan. Yeah. No money down, no mortgage insurance, no cap on the loan amount or purchase price, right? And competitive interest rates.
Right? Easier qualifications.
Yeah, easier qualifications and good guys to work with. Yeah. But they just don't know, right? Or the agents they're working with just aren't educated.
Right. So this statistic right here, 18% of veterans that buy a home use their VA home loan. The rest go conventional or FHA.
So 1 in 5 veterans that buy a home only 1 in 5 veterans that buy a home are using VA.
That's right.
So 4 out of 5 are getting higher interest rates. They're probably putting more money down.
Mortgage insurance.
Right. More mortgage insurance.
Stricter qualifications.
Stricter qualifications and the higher interest rate.
Never stops.
Why?
Yeah,
that's the problem right here.
Well, again, it's. I think part of it, to your point earlier, was that VA loan limits didn't make a lot of sense in our market till about 5 years ago. But also, guidelines were kind of cumbersome. But I definitely think we're entering this sweet spot where if we can evangelize these loans, get the word out, there's a 500,000 potential homeowners in the state of California that can realize homeownership, plus their spouses, and their families, right, and start to begin to build generational wealth. If we can just get the word across to them, right?
Yeah, well, so the answer is this. If I was a real estate agent, why would I push out the, let's call it 8% of the population that actually served our country or are currently serving our country? Yeah. Why would I just ignore them and say, I only work with people who don't do that?
Yeah.
I don't see anybody going to social media saying, I only work with people who didn't serve. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, but yet when we do get an opportunity to work with them, this is the first group telling them to do something else.
Yeah.
So that's where it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So what happened to we support our troops?
Well, yeah.
Just a sticker, on your bumper.
Oh, for sure, you're further disenfranchising them when they have, offered themselves the the ultimate sacrifice, right? Which is serving our country, protecting our democracy. In most cases, having to leave their family, leave the United States, in regards to where they serve, whether it's active combat or not. I mean, they're still gone for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. You guys have served longer than that, and then they come back here and like, oh, you can't qualify for a VA loan. It's too hard, right? When in reality, it's bull. So
you haven't seen a hard day. You haven't seen a hard day like I have.
Yeah.
Right. We're talking about an extra piece of paper. Right. That's a little different than my hard day.
Yeah. No. For sure. So a couple of things that I want to wrap up with. I guess is that ultimately. What do you guys think is, I mean, obviously you guys are out here doing outreach, we're going to get this out to as many people as possible. But what is the message that you guys want to have for your fellow veterans, whether it's Army or Marines that are serving, obviously you guys land in all 50 states. So this message doesn't just apply to Silicon Valley or California. This message applies anywhere. And I'll do whatever I can to get the word out. But kind of, what message or hope or little nugget do you want to leave with, people that maybe they've tried to get a VA loan before and got turned down, or they think home ownership's out of reach, even though they serve their country? What kind of message do you want to have, give to them or leave them with today?
Well, really quick, I want to say that this VA home loan benefit is an earned benefit. It's not a handout.
Sure.
And we deserve it, or we owe it to our veterans to advocate and spread this message. So the VA has changed so much, and we need to understand that. We need to educate ourselves. We need to educate the realtors. And as of 2022, there was changes. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is, let's learn more about be open to learning more about the VA home loan benefits.
And I think for all of those who served, don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't use this benefit. You just can't. I served, Luis served. I was told on my very first loan to go a different direction, and I went with an FHA loan.
Right.
And it, at that time, it cost me and my family a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And it was just a decision that I didn't understand. And you know what? For all of us who have earned this benefit, look, there's people out there like Luis and I, and there's other great people too who are really trying to serve that military community, mm-hmm. do it the right way. But you need to understand this is one of the greatest mortgage vehicles of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What has been created today is so amazing that you shouldn't be looking at anything else unless you've uncovered that rock first.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. It's one of the few things, in my opinion, at least currently in government, that they're actually getting right.
Yeah,
right,
all day.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you. But before I go, one thing that I missed earlier. So, and David, if you can expand on this, it's not just for Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine veterans, right? There's some expanded guidelines there for reserves and National Guard, correct? Yep. So because I'm going to get this out to them too. So like for those that are in the reserves or the National Guards, can you talk about what the criteria is for them to qualify for a VA loan?
Sure, that's a great question. So I'll go through first, right? Our active duty troops, those who served in our 6 major branches now. So Space Force, Coast Guard, we'll throw them in there too. Oh, yeah. We love them all.
Space Force, I forgot about that.
Space Force too, right? It's just it's a new branch. In our lifetime, we got to live through a new branch being created. It's pretty cool if you think about it. But for those guys who are currently serving or served in the Gulf War era, which is 1990 through today, we need 2 years of service.
Okay.
If we have 2 years of service and we didn't get in trouble in the military, we're going to be in pretty good shape, right? Okay. So honorable discharge, general discharge, guys, we're good. Okay. For the National Guard and Reserves, this is one of the new changes that just came out, right? So National Guard and Reserves, they can earn their eligibility with 6 years of service.
Okay.
Okay. So 6 years of service, guys, you're good to go. National Guard, I'm directly talking to you because there was a period of time where all the National Guard people had no clue if they were eligible or not.
Right.
Guys, we've done more National Guard loans than I can actually think about right now.
That's awesome.
Okay. But there's a new rule that just came out, and this is a big one. This is one of the best things that I've ever seen. What they said now for National Guard and Reserves is that if they serve 90 continuous days of activation, 90 continuous days of activation, they're now eligible for a VA loan for the rest of their life.
Okay.
This was extraordinary. So what we saw an article that came out from the VA when they did this, about 65,000 National Guard members became eligible for a VA loan right then and there, right on the spot. And so if you served in the National Guard or you served in the reserves, guys, I'm talking directly to you. If you have questions on are you eligible, we can figure that out really easy.
Fantastic, man. Yeah. So yeah, and I just wanted to get that out there because that was one of the big things, the big nuggets that I took away from today too, right? National Guards and the reserves, and especially, and you said 90 days active. So everybody that got called down to the border,
Afghanistan, Iraq, all got called to the border. Like, there's all kinds of things that happen. Now all of a sudden, we're sitting in a good spot.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, I mean, obviously, if you have served or know anybody that has served or in the National Guard or the reserves, and they think homeownership is out of reach, reach out to me. I will put them in touch with you two guys, and we'll make homeownership a dream come true for them.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it, man.
Good stuff. Thank you, guys. All right, we're out. All right, brother.